Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart and whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. So we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware to support the broadcast, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com. We thank you for your support and your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And as you know, we are Facebook Live, we are YouTube Live. You can go to RadioFreeNetwork.com live, go to RadioFreeNetwork.com/new-life. And every broadcast will be available to you. And we are in the process of launching our 24-hour internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio, which will launch on Sunday, March the 27th. You will be able to hear music 24 hours a day, and then, of course, there will be segments that will be plugged in to enhance the quality of life for our listeners and viewers. We will, of course, have 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. We'll have segments on health and wellness. We'll have segments on mental health and wellness. We will also have segments on financial literacy and entrepreneurship. So just stay tuned with us as we continue to grow our platforms so that you have a place where you can go and feel comfortable hearing what will enhance the quality of your life, and of course listening to music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you on our new internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers right after I addressed something that came into me yesterday. So, of course, the communications that come in, they come in over time. We address them. We don't always get to them, immediately, but we will over time address them all. Because we get so many that we have to pick and select a communication based on the themes that we see forming. And we go through the communications to determine which ones we're going to address every day. So perhaps, something that was sent in a couple of weeks ago, we're just getting to. But I want to address one of our listeners and viewers from yesterday who sent me a communication and said, Pastor, it's kind of unfair to say that if someone's been in a relationship for a few years, that they should get out if they're uncertain where the relationship is going. Because he said to me, and this is someone I don't know, but a gentleman who reached out to me, I'll say that, and said to me, it's a little unfair. He's been in a relationship now for 4 years, and he's been saying this is what he said to me. He said, I know where I want us to go, but I want us to get there by a strategic plan, for lack of a better term. He said, I want to get my finances right. I want to get my finances in order. I want to get my house in order. I want to make sure that I'm ready to take on a wife. And I get it. And that wasn't what I was speaking to yesterday, but I'm going to address what you said to me and when you reached out. And I'm also going to address what I said yesterday. So first of all, let me say this, repeat this from yesterday. If you're in a relationship, because our listener and viewer who had sent in this communication previously said that they're in a relationship and they're uncertain about the relationship. So if you've been in a relationship for 3 years and you're uncertain about the relationship, which is essentially what our listener and viewer said, I said, then you need to separate and go your separate ways, because you don't know where the relationship's going. There's no plan for where the relationship's going. And I'm paraphrasing because I may not have said that yesterday, but what I said is, if you're uncertain about that relationship, you should part and go your separate ways. Now, addressing my brother my Christian brother who sent in this communication or reached out to me yesterday, you say you've been in a relationship for 4 years, but you know where the relationship's going. You know what you want to accomplish. She knows what she wants to accomplish. And the two of you have agreed. That's fine, because there's no uncertainty there. You know where you want to go. I want you to move forward getting there. But you know where you want to go. You said when you reached out to me yesterday, you want to marry her, but there's some things you want to get done before you do that. I get it, but I also want to remind you that 2 is better than 1. So what you may want to do is, now that it's been a little over 4 years, you may need to just build your quality of life together. Now, I know you're each doing your things to get ready, but it may take you longer than it needs to take. You may be delaying your destiny because you are trying to do it the way you want to do it as opposed to the way God wants it to do it. Now, I'm all for, us getting our lives in order and getting our house in order, because that's kind of the exchange you and I had. I'm all for that. But what I was saying to our listener and viewer yesterday is, if you're uncertain about where you're going, you have no idea where you're going, you have no idea what direction the relationship's going, and it's been 3 years, that's a problem. And when I say a problem, not in a negative sense, it just means it's time to part and go your separate ways, because you're not what God has appointed for one another. If you've still got uncertainty and it's been 3 years, it's time to part and go your separate ways. It really is. Now, you might not do that, but it's time to part and go your separate ways. But for my dear brother who reached out, listen, you've got a plan. You're working the plan. If you see that God is doing something in the two of you, working to get to that place, you may need to realize that what God wants the two of you to do is be joined together and work together to build your quality of life. Now, I'm not saying to you, don't continue working your plan. Having a plan is important. Your situation is different than our listener and viewer from yesterday. But what you heard was, and now I need to address this because I didn't get a chance to say this to you yesterday. What you've got to recognize is the reason you reached out to me is because something you heard pricked your spirit. Something you heard said to you, I may be at a point where my relationship's not going to last, because if we follow that instruction, but that instruction wasn't for you, what that instruction did for you was inspired your spirit to recognize that you have a plan and you're trying to work that plan, and the two of you together are trying to move forward. You know that you're going to marry her, but you've been trying to do certain things a certain way. And what you may want to realize, and be prayerful about this, is that God, that message, even though it wasn't for you yesterday, it may have been for you, not in the sense that the two of you need to separate and go your separate ways, but it may be God speaking to you to tell you that this is the time to move forward, and the two of you build a quality of life together. Sometimes we get so caught up in our plan that we don't want to accept what God is doing to revise the plan, to make some revisions, because we think we're supposed to stay on. Listen, I'm all about plans. I'm all about working the plan, but I recognize that sometimes God is going to make a revision in the plan. I don't ever revise the plan just for the sake of revising it. I don't. We clearly, when we started this journey 17 years ago, well, essentially, our local church 17 years ago, our international ministries, and our CDC 19 years ago, so 2003. But 2005, we launched the local church. That was part of the plan. So when we launched the local church, that was part of the 21-year plan that we developed. And since then, I've added to that 28 years and 35 years. That's, I say all of that to say, I don't ever make a revision to the plan just for the sake of revising it. I don't wake up on any given morning and say to myself, let me make some changes in the plan because I'm bored with what I'm doing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting that you need to be bored with your plan. What I'm saying to you is that God sometimes makes revisions to the plan or the way we go about executing the plan. We have to have a strategic implementation strategy, but sometimes God is going to make a revision to the plan because you may not be able to just launch out and do what you want to do. You might have to take some steps to do it. So, for example, my dear brother, my dear Christian brother, what you may realize is that you've been saying you want to save and buy a house before the two of you get married. You want to make sure you buy her an engagement ring and buy a home before the two of you get married. It may not be for you to do it without her. You gotta know that. So you may need to allow God to make some revisions, because you're living in an apartment, she's living in an apartment. But if the two of you come together, you can buy a home and begin building some wealth. You're trying to save money so that you can buy her an engagement ring, buy a home. All of that is going to take time. And I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't take your time. What I am suggesting is you're already 4 years into this. So the two of you may be able to come together, and you may not be buying her a boulder for an engagement ring, but you may be you're in a position to buy her a diamond for an engagement ring and wedding bands so that you can then get married. And it may be another year. It may be, I get it. I'm not suggesting to you that it has to be today. What I am suggesting to you is that you do have a plan. So you two going your separate ways is not what the message was yesterday. But it did inspire your spirit to reach out to me. So I'm delighted you reached out. I'm glad we had the exchange. But I wanted to address it on the air today because it's good for all of our listeners and viewers. I'm just thankful that you were tuned in so that we could address this. Now, I'm going to pray for you and pray, hopefully you'll be in prayer, pray with you, that you will allow God to move you forward in the way God wants to move you forward, and not just in the way that you want to move forward. Because if you wait until you want to do it your way, it's going to take you even longer to get to the place, watch this, to enter into the blessings of God. Even before you get into the fullness of God, but just to enter into the blessings of God. You're doing fine right now. You both are able to pay your rent. You both are able to pay for your cars. You're both able to, you go to work every day. All that's good. But I know that God wants more for you, and I want more for you also. I want you to experience the fullness of God. And the two of you coming together as one is going to allow you to do that. So just move at God's pace, not at your pace. And what God is saying right now is to move forward. Keep working your plan. But you can move forward without waiting to do all of those things that you want to do. Just be prayerful. Let God move through you, in you, and through you. And you and your lovely significant other will get to the place that God has appointed for your lives. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may experience T-Mobile, America's largest. You may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want to improve your skill set without going back to school, and you want to know if there's any methods to accomplishing that. So let me say this to you. In answer to your question, yes. If you were going to go back to school, obviously that's going to enhance your skill set because it's going to give you some additional theory that you can practice, and that would enhance your skill set. However, you don't have to go back to school to enhance your skill set. What you have to do is read as much information about your profession, your professional career, your skill set to maximizing that career and developing proficiency in that skill set. So it's about repetition. The more you do anything, the better you're going to become at it. So you've got to read all the information you could possibly read. You don't have to sit in the classroom, but you can read as much information about your professional career as you possibly can, and the skill set that it takes to be proficient in your career. And then you've got to research everything that you possibly can about your career, your skill set. You've got to do research, everything. And then you've got to practice. That's first and foremost. And what I mean by that is you've got to continuously do it every single day. You've got to implement the things that you read and learn every single day. And the more you do it, the more proficient you become at it. So we're all working on, I'm just going to give you a practical example. We're all working on loading music now, selecting songs and loading music onto the automated system to prepare to launch the radio station. So I'm not able to do it every single day yet because you've got to remember, I have my schedule on a real schedule. So I am on every day that I have an opportunity to spend time. I've been scheduling 2 hours a day but I haven't gotten to the point where I'm able to work it into my schedule yet. So I get on as often as I possibly can for 2 hours and just work on music. But in addition to loading the music, we have to listen to the music so that we can take out the intros, the outros, make certain that there's no spaces at the beginning or the end. We've got to make certain that there's no reverb. We've got to bring it in within a certain sound wave. All of that has to be done. And I haven't mastered that yet because I haven't done it long enough. I haven't practiced it long enough, but I'm working on it. And truth be told, I now, not only did I learn how to do it, but I'm now able to do it. But there's still going to be moments that there's still going to be things that I have to work on because we've got to input music consistently. Then we're going to work on our ads for our sponsors. All of those things have to be done, and all of this has to be done within the next 17 days. It will be an ongoing process after that, but all of this has to be done in the next 17 days to make sure we're able to launch on March 27th. So we're working on that. But once that's accomplished, I have to get to a place where I have developed 2 hours, because this is what God has appointed for me to do, where I've developed 2 hours a day that I can spend on the radio station, on focusing on what needs to be done, reviewing what needs to be done for the radio station. And I'm saying all of that because the more you do anything, the better you're going to become at it. 10,000 hours is the format for mastering anything. That when you've put in 10,000 hours on something, so think about what I said, that's 2 hours a day times 365 days. Now I may spend some extra hours on a Sunday afternoon. Saturday, I spend studying all day, so, I might be able to carve out 2 hours for that on Saturday also. Maybe earlier in the morning before I begin my studies. But I've got to figure that out. And the reason I'm saying that is, think about it. Even if I just put in 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's 2 hours times 365. I've got to get to 10,000 hours to be able to master this. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to get to 10,000 hours of really mastering, improving your skill set. Now, you got to remember something. Some of what you've been doing is just learning to do the job and doing the job. But to master it, you've got to really focus on reading everything, researching everything, and practicing everything that's related to your professional career and your skill set. That's what we have to do in order to maximize our success. That's what we have to do to begin to experience the fullness of God. This is really about having the life that Christ promised us, which is that we'd have life and that we'd have it more abundantly. So I want to encourage you just to read, research, and practice. And you'll get to the place that God has appointed for your life. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. Shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. I'm in Charles Tyrwhitt attire today. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at their retail store. They have everything you could possibly need. Home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your wife shared the broadcast with you and you have been listening to me talk about maximizing your success. Now you want to be able to do just that, and you say you want me to share with you the steps to maximizing your success. So let me say this to you. First of all, I want to say welcome to the broadcast, and to God be the glory. Thanks to your wife for bringing you to the broadcast. So I know you both are tuned in today, and you have been. This communication was sent in a couple of weeks ago, but I want to say to you, I know you're now tuning in every day, and so you want to know the steps. And you can go back, listen to this. You can go back to some of the archives and view those. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube. You can find them for a year on radiofreenetwork.com. Go to radiofreenetwork.com, click on radio, the Dropbox will appear. Click on New Life, every broadcast is right there. But here's what I'm going to say to you. First of all, I'm really excited for you because the fact that you want to maximize your success that's the first step. So you're having some success, and that's what was really interesting in the communication, because you talked about how you've been in your career for a period of time. You're making a good living. You've had some success. You understand now the importance of maximizing the success. So one of the things that I'm going to begin, and over time, when you tune in, because you said in the communication, you tune in for the Sunday sermon now also, so you're going to hear me talk about a lot of aspects of maximizing our success here and on the Sunday sermon. And one of the things that you have to realize is that we have to be committed to following a path that will take us from point A to point Z. And so many people miss out on this because we spend our whole lives trying to get from point A to point B. There's a whole alphabet out there. So, attitude, we know the old adage, attitude determines altitude. So we got to have the right attitude. In other words, we got to have the right state of mind. And we also have to demonstrate the right behavioral pattern to have success. You've done that. So you've gotten from point A to point B. We've got to be committed and consistent in every day making the decision to not only do the right thing, but to do everything that is going to provide us with the opportunity to maximize our success. Because how we do anything is how we'll do everything. Then we've got to be totally dedicated to maximizing our success. So you've gotten the steps down to that point. And then we've got to have the spirit of excellence. So we've got to want to accomplish excellence. And then we've got to be faithful on this journey. We've got to be grateful on this journey. So these are the basic fundamental steps. But then we're going to talk about, and I'm going to spend some time in the coming weeks through this month, we really have to realize that being consistent every day, being dedicated to being the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become,